So this is just a quick showing of the Bandai Enterprise E. It's got the Aztec painting on it, as you can see. This is a Japanese model. It's from around 2003 or so, from what I understand. It's got this little stand that it sits on, which has the battery output for it. As I'll show you later, this particular model is powered. So, you can see, it's pretty detailed. Most of these decals, actually they were all already in place. In terms of lighting on this thing, everything lights up. So all the windows, light passes through them all. Ship has like a plastic interior, so there's only like, say there's 2 or 3 bulbs in here. There's 2 bulbs in the base, and there's 1 in each pylon up here. They're all clear white, and they're just lit up. They're just a incandescent, or sorry, a rice bulb, which is not exactly the best bulb in the world. And the rest of the ship is like a clear coat transparent plastic underneath this shell. You get the ship and you assemble it yourself. It took me 1 night to put together. Wasn't really that hard. Inside there's just little connectors in there. That's how it connects. Just onto this. I'm not going to open this up because it takes forever to put back together. Obviously the batteries just go in there, but you assemble all this yourself. You can kind of see the separation there where this just snaps in. And there's a little switch here in the back, which I had to have a friend help me modify because it was the connectors weren't actually touching. So we did a little bit of work on the top knobs there and pushed them as far forward as we can using a piece of plastic. There was some complaints that I read online where people were complaining about this, so I guess it's not unique to my particular model that I bought here. I got this one off eBay actually, so obviously since it's not in production anymore, just in case anyone's wondering where it came from. Now, because you can take it off, it doesn't light up when it's taken off. So to fill this gap right here, there's little pieces. These are the little pieces right here. So I'll just replace those, and this just pops out. The whole thing doesn't come off, it's just this little piece right here. And the tab just comes up. There we go. So it's that little piece right there. And then you can put this on. It just has some of the escape pods on it. Let's see here. Yep. I got the Bandai right there. And this is the AMT right over here. Now this model is quite old. It's the first generation of it. I think I made it in 1996. It's a little bit bigger. I just did the measurements. It's AMT is about 19.5 inches in length, while the Bandai one here from Japan, from 2003, that one was about 16 inches roughly. So about 3.5 inches difference there. It's not too bad. In terms of the detail, obviously with the AMT, it's totally up to me on how much detail I put on there. So this one here, obviously everything seems good in terms of the colors, but compared to the one that you see on screen and in the show, yellow, reflecting dish and everything like that, not blue or anything. Size-wise, in terms of the shape, Bandai seems to have really matched up their everything pretty well, and the AMT is pretty much rock solid. I'd say the Bandai one, the only thing that's a little weird is the size of the secondary hull. It kind of seems a little lengthy right here, maybe a little chubby. If you look at this one, it's a slight bit narrower. It's got the Nemesis torpedo launcher right there, or sorry, right there. So that's kind of neat. And it's got like the markings from Nemesis in terms of like where the booklet that this came with says things are. The only thing that's different is that the pylons aren't raised quite as high as they were in Nemesis. But Bandai one is pretty solid in terms of the streamline. It's just a matter of the seams. There are some seams, and when I light it up, you'll see where they are. The most prominent ones are on the bottoms of the engines here. Other than that, nothing too major. Didn't have any problems. In fact, the ones along here appear a lot better than what I've seen on the Art Asylum models of the Enterprise E. So what you're seeing here is the Art Asylum model, the Enterprise D I have right here. The Bandai one there. If I line up the noses on these suckers, you see that there's a little bit of shortness on this one. On the Bandai one. It's actually coming up about the same length, or a tiny bit shorter, maybe by like a 1/4 inch. So not really perfectly to scale with the Art Asylum one. Whereas if I take this one, it's more in scale with the AMT model. It's probably more precise, so that 3.5 inches is making the difference there. It's just using the little rice lights there, so they're not very bright, but they, as you can see, they're not the brightest that you can see. It's very bright through the deflector dish, but it's not very bright through the hull section of the ship. If I turn it sideways, what she looks like from the side. And you can kind of see the hull lit up there now. You can see it gets a little brighter there. And now the windows look more like they're lit up, don't they? So, it's tougher on the top section, I find, to actually distinguish the lights that are up on there. And it's really tricky on the back of the ship. I don't find that too much light really comes emanating out of there, out of the impulse engines. They're pretty, not super bright, obviously. So here's the other view of it right here. So you can see, now I guess you can see from this angle better, the engine's lit up, off and on, and on. And you can see the windows lit up a bit now. But I don't find that it's, you know, if I had LEDs in there, that'd make quite a difference. But nonetheless, it's kind of a nice little feature to have on this particular type of model here. I'll show you the difference between this. Oh, with the one exception I should say is that darn deflector dish. Now, you might be able to put something in there to lessen that, but it is pretty bright, isn't it? And the side of the ship looks really well lit up. You'll see that light spillage right underneath the engine. Right there. And that's really the worst offender. In terms of the engine, it's not too bad. I kind of wish that the blue lit up a little better. But again, that's what happens when you don't use LED. So I know if I get another one like this, I'll use LED. In fact, I think there's someone online that showed an example of one with an LED. So as you can see here, there is considerable difference between these two when they're lit up. The Bandai one is not using LED, while the Art Asylum Enterprise D model, you see on the right, is. And yes, the windows are painted. So the only, difference here is that my Enterprise E has some windows lighting up, which kind of adds to it. And you notice my green screen in the background. That is something I'm experimenting with a little bit here and there. LED and rice bulb. So I'll try a quick green screen, but that's the Bandai model in case anyone was wondering. I never saw a video about it other than the difference between the LED and the rice bulbs on it. That's all I can really tell you on it. Thanks.